Today's lesson is Lamine Yamal, Spain's young football sensation. Hi, everybody. I am Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are going to talk about sports. And sports, of course, involves sports, athletes competing against each other to see who's better and who can win the game. And, of course, one of the most popular sports in the world is football, also called soccer in some places. And we're talking about a football player from Spain by the name of Lamine Yamal. He is the new young sensation in football, and he must be young because I myself had not heard of him before today's lesson, but now I know all about him, and I'm so excited about it.
Absolutely. You're not the only one, Roger. I think a lot of people in Spain, Yamal's native country, had never heard of this young guy. I can almost call him a kid. Had never heard of this very young player until the Euros, of course, of this past year when he, along with a Spanish team of largely unknowns, I think a lot of Spanish people were very unhappy with some of the younger, less experienced players that the coaches picked to compete in the Euros, but it turned out the coaches had an eye for talent. The team went on to win the Euros, and Yamal was one of the youngest players and certainly the youngest star to really come out of that great Spanish team. And who knows, as we see the sunset of certain soccer players' careers, the great Ronaldo and Messi, these guys are hitting their late 30s and looking towards retirement. Maybe we've discovered the superstar of the future in young Lamine Yamal. So let's find out more about this very talented player, where he came from, where he's playing now, and where he will probably be headed in the future. Lamine Yamal, Spain's young football sensation. Lamine Yamal is one of the most exciting young talents in professional football. Born on July 13, 2007 in Barcelona, Spain, Yamal grew up in Catalonia. As a child, he split time between his mother's and father's homes in neighboring cities Granollers and Mataró. The latter city, particularly the Rocafonda neighborhood where Yamal lived with his father, is still close to Yamal's heart. Whenever he scores, he celebrates by using hand signals to indicate the numbers 304, the final three numbers of Rocafonda's postal code.
大家好，标题中介绍名词 sensation， 它的意思是引起轰动的人或事件，也可以是知觉的意思。例如 Soon after its release, the new album caused a huge sensation. 这张新专辑推出不久，就引起了极大的轰动。
All right, it's time for us to explain today's lesson. Let's start with the first paragraph here. Lamine Yamal is one of the most exciting young talents in professional football. So notice here we got the word talent, which can refer to your innate ability to do something. You have a lot of talent, but it can also be the person, him or herself. So this is a young talent who is in professional football. Okay, football, of course, again, is soccer, where you kick that round ball and you try to kick it into the other team's net. And if something is professional, that means these players are getting paid for it. So here in Taiwan, of course, we've got different kinds of professional sports leagues. There's some basketball leagues. And, of course, there's the local baseball league, which is a professional league with all those different teams, the Weichuan Dragons and the Uni Lions. That's a professional league. But in this particular case, though, we're talking about professional football. And Lamine Yamal is very exciting, and he's a new talent in professional football.
He absolutely is, and he is a very young guy. It says born on July 13th, 2007 in Barcelona, Spain. Yamal grew up in Catalonia. All right, so there we have his birth date. If you want to figure out what his star sign is, you can go ahead and do that. Anyways, he was born not too long ago in 2007. I feel very old right now. In Barcelona, Spain, so of course that's why he is playing on the Spanish football team. And I think he plays his football in Spain as well, his professional football. And he grew up in Catalonia. This is the area of sort of northeastern Spain up there near the French border that is also where Barcelona is found. And it's long been sort of a cousin of the Spanish, you could say. I think a lot of people in Catalonia would like to have their own country, in fact. They would like to declare independence. But for a number of decades now, since Spain was sort of turned into a modern country, the modern country we know now, Catalonia has been a member. It is part of Spain, but it is sort of an independent part. They like to see themselves as Catalans and not Spaniards.
And of course, they speak Catalan, which is a language that is very different from Spanish, although I think you could probably understand it a little bit, but still it's a completely different language and they have their own local identity. So he, of course, is from there. And as a child, he split time between his mother's and father's homes in neighboring cities, Granollers and Mataró. If something's neighboring, they're next to each other. You might have neighboring towns, for example, like my hometown. The neighboring town was Superior to the west, and the other neighboring town to the east was Armstrong. These are different towns where I'm from. And, of course, neighboring cities here are cities that are next to each other. And I guess this implies that his parents were separated, so he would split time between the parents. He would go see daddy maybe during the week, and then mommy during the weekend or something like that.
Very interesting. All right. So very modern kind of childhood with parents who may not have been together as he was young growing up, but still sounds like he spent a lot of time with them and also getting to know this area of Catalan that he was born in. The latter city, particularly the Rocafonda neighborhood where Yamal lived with his father, is still close to Yamal's heart. So that might have been where he went to school or something like that, spent most of his time in Mataró. We know that's the city we're talking about here because the sentence begins, the latter city. When we have a list of two things, the former would be the first of those two, and the latter would be the second of those two. So on my holiday, I went to Paris and Marseille in France. I really enjoyed the latter more than the former. I enjoyed Marseille, the second place I mentioned in that list of two, rather than the former, the first. So he spent a lot of time in his father's home in Mataró, particularly in the Rocafonda neighborhood. If you're a native or familiar with the town of Mataró, you'll know this neighborhood. It's a smaller area within the city. Here in Taipei, we might talk about the Ximending area or the Da'an area or something like that, neighborhoods, things like that. And that's where he lived with his father, and it is still close to Yamal's heart. All right, so this is a part of his childhood and where he grew up and the people who lived there, who he grew up with, that he still carries very close to him. It's very important emotionally for him. If something is close to your heart, yeah, you have a strong emotional tie to it. And in fact, there's a certain gesture that he does when he scores to sort of give a little wave, a little wink, and a little nod to show his respect for where he grew up.
Yep, so here it says whenever he scores, when he scores a goal, he celebrates by using hand signals to indicate the numbers 304, the final three numbers of Rocafonda's postal code. So he's kind of sending a message to the little town, hey, I'm from there, I still remember you, and you're still close to my heart. I have not forgotten all that you have done for me. So he does this every time he scores. So check it out, see if he has this hand signal to send a message to his small hometown there, his neighborhood in Mataró, to let them know that he still loves them very deeply. Okay, we're at the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's learn some more about the life and times of Lamine Yamal.
Yamal started his football journey at a very young age. When he was only 6, he was scouted by FC Barcelona, and he joined La Masia, the club's famed academy. By doing so, Yamal followed in the footsteps of other football greats, including Lionel Messi, Andres Iniesta, and Xavi Hernandez.
第二部分看到形容词 famed 表示著名的或是闻名的，例如 The famed musician was known for her unique performance style. 那位知名的音乐家以其独特的演出风格闻名，或是 The building was designed by a famed architect. 这栋大楼是由一位知名建筑师设计的。另外补充这个字的名词 fame, F-A-M-E, fame 表示名气或是声誉。可以说 Wendy gained her fame as a TV host. Wendy 作为电视主持人而获得名气。或是 With all the attention that comes with it, fame brings both benefits and challenges. 名声伴随而来的关注既带来好处 也带来挑战。
All right, we are back with Lamine Yamal. So we know where he comes from. He's a Catalan. He grew up in Catalonia, in a couple of towns there, Granollers and Mataró, and he still holds those places close to his heart. But what about his footballing career? Let's get into that. It says Yamal started his football journey at a very young age. So his football journey, his career in football, playing as a young guy on local teams before he got signed to a professional contract. So this football journey for many players does begin when they're just probably old enough to run and kick a ball. It says when he was only 6, wow, yes, very young. So when he was only 6, he was scouted by FC Barcelona and he joined La Masia, the club's famed academy. It is amazing how young these players can start, and also amazing how young the coaches and the talent scouts can identify a young person even as young as 6 and say that kid could be a star of the future. They're so confident. They're so strong. They're so fast. We can work with a person like this, a young person with this kind of natural talent, and maybe hopefully turn them into a star of tomorrow. So at 6, he was already standing out from the crowd, scouted by FC Barcelona. Basically, they'll have these talent scouts that go out and look for young talent. And he joined La Masia, the club's famed academy. These are basically like soccer schools that these big teams have, and they will look for kids from all across the country, maybe even around the world, bring them to the academy and basically train them up to be future professional football players. An academy, think of it as an educational institution. They might focus on one topic or one subject rather than having many subjects like colleges or universities, acting academies, art academies, music academies, things like that. You'll go there, you'll get a good basic education in, math and English and science, but really they'll be focusing on this one skill, this one talent, this one type of artistic or sporting pursuit. And this is a famous academy. It is famed. When we say something is famed, we just mean it is famous, and it probably has a pretty good reputation as well.
Okay, so by doing so, by joining La Masia, Yamal followed in the footsteps of other football greats, including Lionel Messi, Andres Iniesta, and Javi Hernandez. And if you follow in the footsteps of somebody, that means you're basically following after somebody. You do what they did before, okay? So, of course, if you play baseball and your father was a famous baseball player and then you become a famous baseball player, then you are following in the footsteps of your father. It doesn't have to apply only to sports. It could apply to other areas as well. Like my father ran a gas station in a small town, and I followed in his footsteps, and I took over the company business and am working there now. Well, we're going to continue to learn some more about Lamine Yamal in the following paragraph, so let's listen and we'll wrap things up.
Yamal rose through FC Barcelona's youth teams, and at 16, he became the youngest player ever to play for Spain's senior men's team. Playing for Spain in the 2024 UEFA European Football Championship, or Euro 2024, he then became the youngest player to appear, score, and assist in a Euro match. However, that wasn't all that Yamal accomplished during the tournament.
"第三部分看到名词 championship， 它的意思是冠军赛或是冠军头衔。例如 The basketball championships will be shown on TV tomorrow afternoon. 今天下午电视将会转播篮球锦标赛。也可以说 Many people expect this team to win the championship this year. 许多人都期待这支球队今年能赢得冠军。另外补充这个字的相关名词 champion， C-H-A-M-P-I-O-N champion， 它是名词，表示冠军。例如 Greg was a ski champion in his younger days. Greg 年轻时是一位滑雪冠军。再来介绍动词 accomplish， 表示完成或是实现。可以说 Roman accomplished a lot during his 5 years at the company. Roman 在公司的5年期间完成许多事。又或者说 Floyd accomplished the difficult task without any problems. Floyd 毫不费力就完成了那项艰难的任务。顺便补充这个字的名词 accomplishment， A-C-C-O-M-P-L-I-S-H-M-E-N-T accomplishment， 表示成就或是攻击。举例来说 Susan's greatest accomplishment is mastering a second language. Susan 最大的成就就是精通第二种语言。或是 Kristen was proud of her accomplishments in school. Kristen 以她在学校的成就为荣。最后看到名词 tournament 表示锦标赛，可以说 The basketball team has been practicing a lot for the upcoming tournament. 那支篮球队一直在为即将到来的锦标赛进行大量练习。最后一个例子 The athletes were very tired after the tournament and needed to rest. 那些运动员们在锦标赛后非常疲惫，需要休息。
All right, we are back with our look at Lamine Yamal, where we have already talked about where he comes from. Of course, he's from Barcelona, or the area of Catalonia that Barcelona is found in northeastern Spain. Became a very young talent. At 6 years old, he was recruited into La Masia, Barcelona Football Club's famous youth academy for young soccer players. And let's get back into it and see how he went from being a young star to being a real professional star. It says Yamal rose through FC Barcelona's youth teams. So the junior teams, I think they have kind of under 21, under 18, under 16 or something like that. These would be the youth teams playing against players his own age at a very high level, though. And at 16, so at 16 years old, he became the youngest player ever to play for Spain's senior men's team. Imagine that. At 16 years old, I'm betting he probably can't even drive a car. And here he is playing on the senior men's team, not on the junior teams, because of course they have big tournaments for the youth teams, the younger teams. No, he was good enough at the age of 16 to be up there playing with players in their 20s and 30s and even 40s in some cases. So he's playing on the best team in the country, the A team, the senior Spanish men's soccer team. And then we read, it says, playing for Spain in the 2024 UEFA European Football Championship, or Euro 2024, he then became the youngest player to appear, score, and assist in a Euro match. And of course, that is not just among Spanish players or in Spanish soccer history, that's in Euro soccer history. So of any player at any time who's ever played in the Euros, Lamine Yamal was the youngest, not only to appear, to actually play in a game, even for a few minutes. Some people might have appeared at a young age, but he actually scored in a game and assisted in a Euro match as well. We'll get to that word assist in a second. Here we're talking about, of course, Euro 24, which if you were watching TV last summer, you probably saw this soccer championship. And a championship is basically the final stages of a big tournament when you have all the best teams. There's been a competition. The weaker teams have lost or been knocked out, and you get into the quarterfinals and then the semifinals down to 4 teams, and then the finals, the big match with the final 2 teams to find the champion. So it's basically the process or the tournament of having many games, and then at the end, a winner or a champion emerges. In this case, it was, of course, Spain, and he was on that team and also contributing to that team, appearing with the team, being on the team, playing in a game, scoring, getting a goal, and getting an assist. An assist is basically the next best thing you can get to a goal. You pass the ball to the person who scores the goal. You're maybe one of the last person or one of the 2 people who touched the ball and got that person who scored into a position where they could put the ball into the back of the net. So a very key player.
That's right. So he appeared, he was playing in the game, and he also scored a goal. He kicked the ball into the net, and the announcer said, "Goal!" like they always do in Spanish-speaking countries. And then he assisted. He passed the ball to somebody else who kicked the ball into the net, and the announcer said, "Goal!" again, and everybody was really excited about that. However, that wasn't all that Yamal accomplished during the tournament. He did more things, which we'll talk about later on, but that wasn't it. There were other things that he accomplished during this tournament, during this championship. If you accomplish something, you achieve something that was difficult to do, but you finished it and you won and you got it. For example, maybe if you wrote a paper or something like that for a class in college and you got an A on it, that was a big accomplishment. And to accomplish is the verb here, to do something really great. And finally, we've got the word tournament here, and that's when a bunch of teams play each other to determine a champion. But again, the champion championship is when you have the final two teams competing for the actual championship. Well, the tournament involves lots and lots of different teams. Okay, we'll find out more about Yamal in our next lesson, but right now we're going to take a break and listen to Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分的最后一句写到，每当他进球时，他都会用手势比出数字304来庆祝。那课文里面他用到 whenever 来表达每当。 whenever 这时候是用来引导时间副词子句去表达每当怎么样，每次怎么样，意思就等同于 every time 或者是 each time。 像 She thinks of her grandmother whenever she hears the song。 每次听到那首歌时，他总是会想起他的阿嬷。好，那 whenever 还有一个用法是引导让步副词子句，这时候是表达无论何时，不管在什么时候。那么 whenever 这边可以用到 no matter when 来替换，像 There's always something fun to do whenever you visit the city， 也可以说 no matter when you visit the city， 无论你何时造访那个城市，总是有好玩的事情可以做。好，那这边也顺便补充一下 no matter 之后可以接 WH 疑问词，像 what, who, when, where, how 等等，那是用来引导让步副词子句去表达无论怎么样怎么样都怎么样，或者是不管点点点还是怎么样。那它可以改写成 WH 疑问词后面加上 EVER， 像 no matter what 相当于 whatever 无论什么， no matter who 相当于 whoever 表示无论是谁等等。那这个让步副词子句呢，你可以把它摆在主要子句的之前或是之后都可以。好，我们接着看到课文第三部分，他提到亚马尔代表西班牙参加了2024年欧洲杯，他当时成为欧洲杯比赛中出场、进球和助攻最年轻的球员。文中他是用动词 assist 去表达助攻，它就可以指篮球、足球等等的助攻，或者是棒球等等的助杀。好，那么 assist 它其实还有帮助、协助的意思。那我们来学它的字首字根。看到 SIST 这个字根呢，它可以表达站立、放置或是处于某种状态。那在 assist 这个字当中，它的字首 AS 是来自 AD， 表示朝向。字根 SIST 表示站立。那当我们朝向某个人，站在他旁边随时提供协助，用这个方式也许就可以联想到 assist 它有帮助、协助的意思。顺便补充两个有相同字根的单字。第一个补充的是 persist，它的字首 PER 是表达完全地， SIST 表示站立。那如果从头到尾都站在那里，完全不动如山，屹立不摇，这样应该可以联想到 persist 它有坚持不懈、持续存在的意思。好，那第二个补充的是 resist， 它的字首 RE 表示反抗， SIST 是指处于某种状态，合在一起就表示处于反抗的状态，所以 resist 它具有抵抗、抗拒的意思。好，那以上今天重点整理，我们就来回顾今天的单字吧。
Sensation.The singer became an immediate sensation after her first single was released. Professional. Aaron began his career as a professional baseball player at the age of 18. Split. We can split the pizza so that everyone gets a slice. Famed. The famed author will be giving a talk at the local bookstore. Championship. I gave a cheer to the basketball players who had just won the championship. Accomplish.Rachel has been working hard to accomplish all her goals by the end of the year. Tournament. Greg entered the chess tournament with hopes of winning against the best players. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.